So I had gotten a crush on the quiet kid at school, and I invited him over. And things started to get weird when I cut my knee open and he licked the blood off my knee and said that it tasted good. So anyways, we're in our kitchen and we're just making food. And he's petting my dog, telling me how much he loves my dog. And I turn around for 2 seconds. And I wish to God I can make this up. I turn around and he has a knife to my dog's neck. And I'm like, what the hell are you doing? And he's like, oh, I'm just joking with you, ha 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 ha. So I grabbed the knife from him and I put it back where it belongs and I'm like, okay, let's go out on my trampoline. Reminder, at this point, it was pitch black outside. So we're jumping on my trampoline when I feel something hit me in the face. So I look at him and then he starts beating me up. And I'm not talking play fighting. This kid is genuinely beating me up. So I'm standing there in shock when he gives me another whack to the face.
I'm just going to say this. Always trust your gut. I had a feeling my neighbour's girlfriend was setting me up because she was fully convinced that I wanted to cheat with her boyfriend. She literally pretended to be her boyfriend, sending me a note asking me to meet in McDonald's drive-thru. Well, she got the shock of her life when she was banging on my car door and my boyfriend jumped up from underneath the coat. She nearly jumped clear out of her skin. She said, what are you doing here? He said, why wouldn't I be here? I'm her boyfriend. Now listen up to me, little girl. You better stop annoying us. She doesn't want anything to do with your boyfriend. Now toddle along home and leave us alone. So we got Happy Meals after that because we were happy. But that was short-lived because I wasn't prepared for what I was going to find when I drove home. I get out of my car and on my doorstep there's a lighting candle with a circle of salt around it, and then there's this weird doll looking thing. Now I'm no expert, but I do believe I've just been cursed.
Here's a story time of how me and my sisters almost got kidnapped. So my mom and her boyfriend were just going to go out and have a night to themselves, and I was home watching my 2 little sisters. At the time, I was 13, my 2 little sisters were 9 and 6. So around 6 p.m., my mom and her boyfriend leave. Me and my sisters just sit down and watch a movie, and then I get up to make them dinner. I get paranoid really easily, and while I was making them dinner, I look out the kitchen window, and I thought I seen somebody in the backyard. I text my mom and she gets on the cameras that are outside and she said nobody was out there. I continue making them dinner, we sit down and eat, and then we start watching another movie. Then we start hearing knocking. It wasn't coming from any of the doors, it was coming from the side of the house. I didn't want to bother my mom on her one night out, so I just took the kids and we went upstairs and watched a movie in my room. My 6-year-old sister at the time went to the bathroom and she came back in literal tears. She was literally crying so hard until I finally got her to stop and tell me what was wrong. She said as she was walking back from the bathroom, she seen somebody downstairs. I quietly locked my door and I put my sisters in the closet and I called my mom right away.
This is why you should be careful when you ding dong ditch someone. So one day, me and my friend, we were just hanging out and we decided it'd be fun to go ding dong ditch. What we didn't know was that my friend's older brother was going to come too. And we also didn't know that he had written a note saying that we will murder you. So all was going well, so we ding dong ditched the house and it was so fun. And then we hear a loud screech. A woman comes running out and yelling at us. We were so scared. Like for part 2. This is part 2. So the lady came and screamed at us. We were so scared. And she told us to come inside her house. Me and my friends had to run across the street and immediately started crying. Started calling our parents. She was pressing 911 on her phone when I yelled, "Wait! Our parents are across the street. You can just go talk to them." So she ran over to my house and told our parents what happened. I sprinted up to my room and started crying. We were so confused, she was so mad, and eventually we found out that my friend's brother had written a note saying that we will murder you. That's why you should always be careful when you're ding-dong ditching someone.
So I get a lot of DMs and emails about people wanting to do collabs with me. And one day I get this email from someone's manager. She has 15,000 followers on Instagram. And basically what they were asking for was me to send them free product in exchange for promotion. But in addition, I would pay them about a week's worth of my wage for that promotion. Which, I don't know, really rubbed me the wrong way. So you want exclusive access because most of my products are out of stock. You want those products for free, and you want me to send them to you for free. And then on top of that, you want me to pay you an equivalent of what I make in a week for you to do this promotion. I don't know, I found it very disrespectful.
Storytime about one of the worst customers ever. I got a new job at a coffee shop downtown. It was my first day out of training and I would be taking orders and making drinks on my own. I was a little nervous, but excited and ready to be myself. Everything was going great until this woman came in. She came up to the counter and immediately noticed that I was new there. She said, "I'm a regular and come in almost every day. Write my order down and save it so I don't have to explain it to you again next time." At first I thought she was joking, so I smiled and laughed, but then I quickly realized that she wasn't kidding. She proceeded to order a very complicated drink, which I didn't mind. I was up for the challenge. I made her drink and handed it to her with a smile. Without even trying it, she said the color was off and requested I remake it. When I turned around to try again, she said, "Don't mess it up this time. It's not rocket science." I remade the drink, and this time she picked it up and looked at it, didn't try it, and complained that I put too much caramel in it and asked if I was trying to make her fat. I remade the drink a third time, doing everything she requested. This time she actually tried the drink and immediately spit it back into the cup. She then told me that I'm horrible at my job, called me incompetent and lazy, and of course, asked to speak to my manager. It only got worse from here. Part 2 of the worst customer ever. After she requested to speak to the manager, I went to get the shift lead and explain the situation. He immediately knew what customer I was referring to. My manager went to speak to her as I remade her drink a fourth time. She demanded that the drink be free and that we also let her pick a food item on the house for wasting her time. When we refused, she went ballistic and started screaming that she would never come here again and that we lost a customer. She demanded that we get the owner of the store down here immediately and said that she wouldn't leave until the owner arrives. We told her that she would have to leave or we would call the cops. She continued screaming at us, took the drink without paying, and knocked over one of the displays on her way out. My manager said that this customer complained almost every day, told me I'm doing a good job, and thanked me for finally getting rid of a Karen. I couldn't believe my eyes when she came back a few days later. I was dreading having to take her order again. To my surprise, my manager confronted her about not paying the other day and knocking over our display. He then asked her to leave, but she went crazy again and refused to leave, and this time we did have to call the cops. Ultimately, she left before the police came and hasn't been.
Guys, my name's Jill, and for today's video, I want to tell you the story about the time where I literally was convinced that I was going to die at school last year. Okay, it was crazy. So I was with my two friends, Iz and Amber. We were just chilling in Iz's car. So we all had an open fourth period, so we are just going to sit in the parking lot for the next 45 minutes till the period is over, like we always did. But all of a sudden, we saw a fire truck and 6 police cars come racing about with their lights on, and they parked in front of our school, and we were all like, what the heck? We were kind of freaked out, but there was no one else in the parking lot, so we didn't know what to do. We kind of just kept sitting there, I guess. But little did we know that everyone inside the school was on lockdown because there was a man on campus who had just stolen the car, and he was armed with a gun, just walking around campus. And while we were sitting in his car, this man with the gun comes up to our car, starts knocking on our window, and tries to get into our car. And of course, Izzy was freaked out, so she backs up as fast as she possibly can, and we ended up just spending the rest of the day at her house because we're not about to go back to school. But I'm very glad that nothing happened, but I literally saw my life flash before my eyes. Okay, maybe it sounds dramatic, but it was very scary. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed. See you guys later. Bye.
Let me tell y'all about one of the most craziest things that has ever happened to me. So it was cuffing season or whatever. Me and my friend had both recently gotten into relationships. Well, for me, it wasn't exactly a relationship. It was kind of just dating. They had suggested, why don't we go on a double date? I'm not a very big fan of double dates, but I was like, whatever. We can do it this one time. We all agreed to meet up at the movies. So I get to the movies and I see my date walking inside. It's weird because he had texted me earlier and told me that he was going to be late. I was like, okay, that's kind of weird, but I go inside and I catch up to him. I go up to him and I'm like, hey, what's going on? He just stares at me. He's looking mad confused. And he's like, oh, I'm good, but where's your friend? And I'm looking at him like, what you asking about her for? I'm not standing right here in front of you looking all cute. What you asking about her for? You know what? I let it go. I'm like, let's just go get snacks. So we get into the line to buy snacks. My best friend walks in. I'm like, hey girl, I kid you not, this was her exact reaction. And then she proceeds to grab my man and kiss him.
Over 4 months ago, I gave birth to my fourth and last child. It was a high-risk pregnancy, and the birth was very difficult. My doctors advised me not to have any more kids, and I agreed. My husband had a vasectomy, and now he's recovering. My little sister's been trying to have a family for a while now, but she recently found out that she can't conceive. My family suggested surrogacy or adoption, but my sister said that she would have to think about it. She called me a few nights ago and told me that she's decided on surrogacy with her boyfriend. That's when she brought up the fact how I had done so well with all my pregnancies and how I must love being pregnant. I knew exactly where this was going and reminded her how my last pregnancy was, and yet she told me everything was fine now, so what's my issue? I told her just because I'm fine now doesn't mean that I'll be fine next time. That's when she straight up asked me if I'll be her surrogate or not, and I told her no, and that I didn't want to leave my kids without a mother or my husband a widow. She went ballistic on the phone and called me selfish and a bitch and wouldn't stop. The next morning my phone was blowing up with notifications and everyone, including our mother, was against me. So am I being selfish because I'm not putting my own health at risk to give her a baby?